Welcome to the Fine Print, guys. My name is Caleb Teskey, and I am joined this morning by Meredith Mann from Magic Mann in Essex?
Essex, Vermont.
Great. How are you doing this morning, Meredith?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Caleb.
All right, wonderful. I like to kick off every episode with a segment I call 5-Minute Life Story, where you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and how you came to own the Magic Mann.
All right. Well, I have a long history of cannabis. I've been a medical patient for even longer. When I met my husband, he grew the best weed and I married him. And that was almost 25 years ago. So we've been in the industry and been cultivators and processors in our own rights and parents and normal people in the world for a long time. As a medical patient, it's been a rough go of it for a really long time, which is why I started formulating my own products, I don't know, good 10 years ago, but if not longer, some of the things I make. But it's been such a tough road. The medical program just sucks. And finally, eventually, one day I decided I would get a medical card and just try it anyway, even though I had my own, just to see what my options were. And it was such a unfulfilling experience to not get any of the help I needed, any of the information I needed. There were some really good people there, but as a patient, nobody had used the products. None of them were medical patients, so they couldn't speak to the products or tell anybody about them, and just drove me crazy. So I took a job and managed the dispensary for a little bit. I did that.
Which dispensary was that?
It was Champlain Valley Dispensary.
Okay.
Right when they opened Green Tree, I took a job as a supervisor, as a bud tender, because I wanted to help patients. And I did that for about a year. And then I told them that I was starting my own business, and they gave me a choice to either not start my own business or work there. And I immediately chose to go start my own business. It was a really great experience, and I was in it to help the patients, and it, helped me know exactly what I don't want to do. And so I quit, and here I am 3 years later working on Magic Mann. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm in this for the people. I've always been in it for the people and the medicine, and to make sure people get the information and the clean products that they want. And so this comes from the heart, from me and my husband. It's really a family started business. And at one point along the way, I looked around me and I just knew that every relationship I ever had in my life mattered, and that the respect people had for me and my experience mattered, and that I thought I could pull a business together that could really do this with the trust of others. And so I did. So I have a really amazing team behind me, and we're super just eager to open the rec market up, because that's what everybody fucking wants.
Now, what type of licenses are you seeking?
We are seeking a 2,500 square foot cultivation, a tier 2.
Tier 2, yeah.
Tier 3 manufacturing.
Oh, wow. Tier 3. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the tier 3 manufacturing, because I'm not familiar with that. You're the first one I've talked to.
Tier 3 manufacturing allows you to you need a C1D1 room, and to really be in close contact with the fire marshals. We plan on doing CO2 extraction. I know you're gonna talk to my extraction guy one of these days, so I
Yeah, I'd
won't
love
go
to.
too into detail with it, but we are an edible focused company, so we're growing a good amount of our flower for our products, and we are very, very much expecting to and looking forward to working with as many Vermont craft cultivators as we can.
Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask a little bit about sort of overhead costs, because this is one thing I want people to understand when they're trying to break into this market, because I feel like I have a lot of friends as such that think they're just going to kind of walk ass backwards into this and it's going to be a piece of cake.
Yeah, I can just tell you that, opening a CBD business alone is a lot of overhead costs. Just opening any business that's registered with the state is a process and expensive. And you add cannabis to it, and it is expensive. And compliance is a huge expense.
Um, how did you, so I was reading some press about you, and it said you started with this little thing called BTV Local 420. And how
Just
did that
little
come
thing.
in to become Magic Man?
We started as BTV Local 420. It's still our DBA and part of our souls of who we are. Sometimes we joke we're BTV 20 by night and Magic Man by day, but it's really just our DBA, our double business entity now, and just sort of a part of our past. We started out using that name for our business, and we're primarily at that time focusing on events and parties. That's kind of was the good old days. I like to think of those days of Eli's Bud and Brunches in Winooski and all the people that attended those. I really want to see get there in this market. Worked really hard for a long time. So where was I? Sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm going to keep this going. You're doing great. Is it correct that you were the first cannabis cafe in the state?
I think so, with our business model that was primarily to make only cannabis products and have a cannabis cafe. Yeah.
Now, I don't like to turn things into like gender wars or race wars, but as a woman, what does that mean to you to sort of be out in front and leading this charge?
It means a lot to me, and really not from, for me, it means a lot, but the amount of people that come up to me and tell me how much it means to them and thank me is pleasantly surprising. I'm honored, and I honestly, it's easy because I'm doing it for the love of this plant, the love of my community. We've been here for a long time. We're parents in this, South Burlington and this general greater Burlington community. And we just really want to see people not have to travel to frickin' Mass and Maine anymore and get the good stuff right here.
Sure. In another article, you mentioned that some of those other dispensaries kind of rush you in and out, just trying to make the money.
Yes.
Have you experienced that for yourself?
Yes.
Where
Actually,
were
it's
you at?
something I really wanted to touch on, because we're not just opening up a retail store because this is going to make money. It's a whole experience for people, and I have a responsibility to do right by this plant, to make sure that everybody gets the right information about it, the same information about it, and that we're all speaking the same language. So that's really huge for me.
Where were some of those dispensaries that were behaving that way?
I've always, I think I've almost never been to a dispensary that doesn't behave that way. Champlain Valley Dispensary was definitely that way as well. Most dispensaries, I mean, medical ones, have 15-minute time blocks, and you're trying to, they want people in, they want people out, and to get the next person. And I found when we went to NECAN in Boston, just for the heck of it, we went to MedMen in Fenway. It looked like a McDonald's. Everybody was wearing red like a McDonald's. There was like a back stainless steel counter, and they're all wearing red hats and pulling bags off the counter. It was just like almost funny. But the second you walk in, someone super friendly is talking to you, but I felt like I never got to look at every product table. I never got to really check out everything. And this is exactly why I'm doing this, because I want people to come here and I want them to want to be here. I want them to read our terpene posters on the wall. I want them to ask us about cannabinoids. I want them to figure out what the right thing for them is. I want people to trust us. And the fact of the matter is, even everybody's using cannabis somewhat medicinally, and you should, part of using it medicinally is also just using it recreationally and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, well, being in a good mood is kind of medicinal, you know?
It is, and it's an important part. So when people feel guilty about that, I try and push that concept.
So you're going to have a retail license as well as the cultivation and the manufacturing. Yes. Okay, so you have three. You're the first that I've met with three.
Yep.
Cool.
We're going for all three.
Could you tell us about some of the products that you offer?
We offer quite a few confections. We like to call ourselves the gummy masters. We make a phenomenal gummy. We have a bunch of different varieties right now. It's our most popular item. There's one right now. Our orange lychee gummy is going to be one of our signature THC flavors. And we going to have a few different more types of gummies on the other side too. We have some new products we're pulling in. A lot of our old favorite products are caramels. We are going to have on the THC side our tolerants. We've been really looking forward to having on the THC side, because their whole philosophy of having 3 doses is to control your tolerance and have a little zone to stay in. So that, and we have a few drink tricks up our sleeve and some things we're working on.
Cool.
I love collaborating with people. We have so many great, talented people in this community, and I have some good things I'm working on with some good people, and I'm excited.
I was going to ask you about that. So I see that I see a bunch of things. First of all, I see that you are trying to source all your ingredients locally as much as possible. Now, who are some of the companies that you're working with to source your ingredients?
Sourcing our ingredients wise, we're just working with the same people everyone else is. It's really hard to get ingredients right now. So we're working with, your Provisions and, other people who can get us the specialty ingredients we're looking for.
And what about artists? I see that around your shop, you have a lot of local art. Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
I have a degree in ceramics, and someday you'll see Meredith clay bongs and pieces in this place when I get this place up and running and can have some time on the wheel. It's one of my second loves. But again, my love for being a community organizer is something I've always done. And I used to be in the art world, and really, we have just such incredible artists here in Vermont, and we have more people that claim themselves as artists on their taxes than anything else, and really creative people. And some of those people are, in my words, cannabis crafters and artists as well. People are really innovative in Vermont, and I like to support that as well. And quite a few of my friends and artists also support the Indigenous Fund, and we have a lot of art that's here by donation to that fund, like some of that awesome John Young artwork.
Well, you jumped the gun on me there. I was going to ask you about that too. So why don't you just tell us about the Indigenous Fund?
So that's also an extremely long time in the making for me and extremely important to me. I went to college here in Vermont. I went to Goddard, and it was actually John Fishman from Fish who told me that I should go out to the Navajo res because Goddard had a relationship with them, and I should study pottery. And I thought that was the perfect idea, and it was something I was sort of looking into. So he's the one that actually led me out there initially, and I ended up doing 3 out of my 4 years of college through correspondence on the Navajo reservation, doing some clay work, some social justice work, environmental work, and it was the best thing of my life. I stayed a few years after, and they're still like family to me today. And I work closely with my friends on the Navajo reservation to try and do what I can to help. And we're extremely grateful as we've developed Magic Mann Global Indigenous Fund to have built relationships with quite a few tribes, including the Abenaki, specifically the Nulligan Band of the Kosakook Abenaki and Chief Stevens at the moment, though we would love to work with Missisquoi and other bands as well. We are trying to support the needs of tribes, specifically trying to focus on food sustainability issues and potential cannabis farmers and people trying to get into the business, specifically in Vermont at the moment. For the rest of this year, we'd really like to build our fund so that we can help Indigenous Vermonters get into this business.
Now, let me ask you, because when we spoke on the phone, this was something it sounded like you were really passionate about, was the social equity piece. And, just from me, I've been sort of tracking that. And over the recent months, it seems like the women and natives kind of got bumped down on the list. What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of thoughts on that. First of all, I think it's great that we have a social equity program that's as strong as it is, and I fully support it. When they took women off of that list at first, I was extremely disappointed because the fact of the matter is female cannabis CEOs are actually decreasing, not increasing, because at a certain point in success, the white male comes in and takes over the biz. And that's been a huge problem. You can read articles on it and look it up yourself. And it's not easy to be in this business for a lot of reasons when you're a female, and you have to work harder to prove yourself and to get your point across sometimes. And I think it's really frustrating that they took females out of that. However, what disappoints me the most and I feel strongest about, and I am not Indigenous, by the way, I just fully support them in this cause and their cause. But one of the things that frustrated me the most was they took Indigenous people off the list of qualifying applicants. And I know that they do have a clause in there saying if you're a part of any group and you've been disproportionately affected, you can apply here. But that's not giving recognition to the people that walked on this land before us and deserve that recognition. And I have spoken with them about it, and I know why it is this way, and it's all legal. It's all legalities. Basically, they told me that they had to they couldn't prove in court that Native Americans had been disproportionately affected by cannabis. And I don't know if that was specifically Vermont or not, but I'm not done with this yet. I would like to see this added back on.
Who have you been talking to about that? Have you talked to the board
Actually,
directly?
I have wrote public comments in the past about it and had responses about it. I haven't in the recent couple of weeks, but I have been talking to friends who are social justice lawyers about what we can do and a way to try and get them back on that list and prove that, find the proof that we can show in court that they have been disproportionately affected by cannabis, not that hard to prove, and deserve to be recognized.
It seems like
So
they've maybe been disproportionately affected by just about everything.
everything, yeah. And having to even prove it in court is ridiculous. But well, you know, it is something that this year we'd like to spend some time on and try and fix. It's not that easy because, again, it has to go through the legislature.
Yeah.
So it is something that we're going to start to look at in a respectful way, and see if we can't make a change. Like, there's a lot of changes, we're just starting this. So, a lot of things are well intended, but that doesn't mean they can't evolve into something better.
Sure. Now I want to circle back because we got a little out. Well, I like to go with the flow, but I also wanted to certainly touch on a few things.
Yeah.
I saw some comments you made about people using cannabis to get off opiates. Now, I just talked with a woman the other night up in Swanton who was a Navy veteran who had PTSD, who told me that she got off opiates using tinctures and gummies. Do you personally know people that are your clients that have kicked their habit like that?
Absolutely. I've seen it here, and you can say what you want about CBD, but I had, the most profound experiences with customers and learned so much about this kind of issue and how cannabis can help medicinally that I never would have learned any other way. So when at a couple of years ago, the law changed and doctors weren't allowed to prescribe the amount they were prescribing and left patients who were long-term opiate users flailing, and we had just rushes to the dispensary, and I almost haven't seen anyone that it hasn't helped. It doesn't mean it's not a journey. I tell everybody that, and I'm not a nurse, but if you're going to use cannabis as medicine, it's a commitment, and you have to pay attention to what you're doing, what you're using, how you're using it, and be responsible to the process, because it's a pretty serious substitute and it can work, but you have to be an active participant in that process.
Sure, yeah. And I know personally from growing up in the Northeast Kingdom around a lot of heroin users, it's hard to kick that habit. I've seen a lot of people on methadone for 10 or 12 years and they still haven't been able to kick it, so
yeah,
it's kind of incredible that you could, use something that grows in the ground to get over that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've figured out some of it and haven't figured out the other part of it. There's a whole, world of terpenes that are interacting and cannabinoids, not just the THC. What are the combinations? What is it that really does it,
Yeah, I hope we find out.
I know, me too. What can I say? I'm a geek. Anyway.
Well, hey, I'd like to ask you about also some of these events that you participate in. It seems like you have been particularly active. Could you tell us some of the events that you do around the state?
Yeah, we try and support as many other cannabis businesses and their events. Everybody's doing this from the heart and has some great causes. We've supported our friends at Zen Barn and their incredible cause as well. We we here have tried to keep our events in Essex really community oriented and education focused. We want our community to be extremely confident in us opening the doors in October. We love events. It's where we thrive. One of the greatest ones we had recently, I thought, was the event at Gaston, the Mr. Z's guys put on. It's just always great to see some of the old friends in the industry and tons of new ones. And it's cool to see all these companies coming up and people gearing up.
Yeah, it seems like there's a good mix of like younger people coming in as well as some of the OGs.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I like to think of myself in both of those categories. But no, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I
Nice.
feel you. I'm honored to, be considered a mentor to some of the people in this industry. And there's so many people I don't even know that are just getting started, but we try and be an example of good in the industry, but we also try and lend a hand and help other people lift other companies up, because we have to, I say it all the time, but we have to do it together, or Curaleaf, Trueleaf will be in control.
I'm a journalist, so I'm going to remain neutral on that comment, but yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you, do you guys also offer like a lunch menu? I feel like the news said you guys are serving lunches and stuff also.
We do. Right now, we've kind of, COVID's kind of made that harder and harder, but we always have grab and go matzo ball soup. That's just
nice.
something we've always done. My grandma's special recipe. It's just sort of tying in the philosophy of like medicinal whole wellness. So we do that, and the things that we do are sort of based on science a little bit too. We do a really amazing cheesy mac and cheese because cannabis loves fat. You're gonna get 100 milligram punch from a 20 milligram mac because you're getting the fat. So we like to come up with things that make cannabis culinary, the world of cannabis chemistry and culinary chemistry collide.
I've been waiting for the infused cheeses. I had a feeling that was coming.
I know someone who is actually doing some really incredible ones. There are some neat people doing some fancy Vermont cheeses.
I'd like to talk to them if that's possible.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll see what I can do.
Now I see that you're the only person I've seen doing this, but on your website it says you have a 100% money back guarantee. Why do you do that?
Why do we do that? Because we believe in what we do and we want people to be happy with their product and we want them to come back. And we believe in what we do, and customer service is the staple of that. And this is a small community and we want to do right by people. And, there's really no other way to do it.
Has anyone come back and asked for a refund?
Maybe one or two people who have not liked something and traded it in for something else, but generally not too much. It's not like it's been a policy that killed us because everyone just brings stuff back. It's been a random one or two things here and there.
Just a couple people in a few years.
Yeah, a couple people in a few years. Yeah, not too much.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. It's
and I wanted to ask you.
I can stand by.
Okay, cool. I respect it.
Yeah.
That means you're standing behind your product, which I certainly appreciate.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about running a commercial kitchen too, because I know there's a lot of regulations that go into that, and you probably have to have it inspected. Could you just tell us a little bit about the kitchen regulations?
It'll be interesting to see what the Vermont Department of Health does with THC kitchens. Right now, we have a Vermont Department of Health certified CBD kitchen here on site, and Department of Ag certified or permitted processing license.
Oh, so those are
And
separate through Ag and Department of Health, huh?
yep, yep. And we even have liquor control tobacco licenses. So we've got our training wheels on for cannabis compliance. We're ready for it.
Why the alcohol license? Is that for extractions or?
To sell pipes and tobacco products,
Oh,
which is considered, we basically got it to sell rolling papers and chillums and a few bongs. We don't dive too deep into glass. If someone's really looking for something, we'll send them to Tito. But we're far out of town, so if you break your bong, you might need something. So we're here for you.
And I also wanted to ask you a bit about your packaging. I don't know if this will show up, but you are one of, whoa, no, there we go. You're the only person I've seen so far that has found this black opaque glass packaging. And I know that was one of the requirements they were talking about. Talk a little bit about the packaging, if you don't mind.
Honestly, to be completely honest, that's not 100% the packaging we're going to be using on the other side. We weren't sure, and we're still not 100% sure where we stand on the plastic lid, things like that. I think there will be some type of waiver, ability to have a little flexibility on that stuff.
Sure.
Those are, really, we I got those from MJ Wholesale. I think every single cannabis company probably buys something from them. Nothing too special, but childproof and a decent price. We're looking at a bunch of packaging companies right now for THC. Really diving deep into that at the moment.
Are there any companies in Vermont that are making packaging?
Not that I know of.
That
Yep.
seems like a gap that needs to be filled in, maybe.
Yep. It definitely is a niche, and I don't know if that comes down to infrastructure as it usually does in Vermont, but
Sure. Well, I imagine that facility to make those kind of packages is probably pretty expensive to set up.
that's what I'm saying. It's that infrastructure that usually we need to create industry.
Sure.
But
And I think that's a good opportunity to maybe get that to happen,
absolutely, there's all sorts of cool niches in this industry that still aren't filled, and
Sure.
There's a place for everybody.
There sure is. Yeah. I wanted to ask you too, you said you have kids, right?
I do. Yep.
There's been a lot of talk about kids' safety in the
Yes.
legislation and in the meetings.
Mhm.
And I have my own feelings on that. But as a shop owner and a parent, how do you balance these things, and how do we make sure that kids aren't getting a hold of this stuff?
Well, my kids are 20 and 24 right now. I can say that my kids never got a hold of my weed. We've had a medical cultivation license. Even before that, we've been growing cannabis before them, and it's always been locked up. We've always had safes. We always had a nice cube safe in our room that fit our bong. It was always locked, and I have to say it's the best thing I ever did. I get it, some kids smoke weed. Interestingly, mine never dabbled with it in high school and junior high because it was around them so much, and we spoke about it, and basically because we did it, it really wasn't that cool. So I really believe that right now the conversation goes, hey, you can't come in here because this isn't good for your lungs. This is legal for me. When you're 21, we can discuss this. And like that's if you're, kids ask in your home kind of thing. Like it's literally like alcohol. I know my parents tried to unsuccessfully lock up the alcohol from me, but but same concept. And really, it's like you open your beer at home, and it's your responsibility to make sure that throughout the time that you're consuming that beer, your kids don't get a hold of it. And it really does make a difference. And for me, that comes from the heart, because I'm a person who, my parents, I smoked young and I took it from them at 14. And it's kind of funny, and I can tell some funny stories. And no harm, no foul. Every single thing that happened in my life brought me to this magic moment. But I also never wanted my kids to say, I got it from my mom. And they didn't. And that's really huge, because you don't know how life's going to go, and you don't want to have any regrets. And it does affect brain development. So
Sure. Listen, we got about 4 minutes left here. I want to just ask you a couple more questions. First of all, if you have any questions for Chairman Pepper, tell me now, and I'm going to take it to him. And if also, I'm curious, I've been asking everyone this, if you could rewrite the legislation, what would you keep and what would you change or throw away?
I mean, pretty much I'm preaching to the choir on that one. We have to change the edible counts for sure. We have to get rid of the vape tax, all of those things. Legislature is a blessing and a curse, and it's a lot harder to get things changed. So we have to really push through them and get them done. But those things are extremely important to me. Yeah, especially edibles and oil numbers.
Yeah, 50 milligrams per package certainly seems like it's going to create a lot of wasteful packaging.
It's just crazy, even in mass. I get it. I don't mind low dose. I know everybody wants it higher, and I think higher is okay, but people are just going to buy more packages to get to the dose they want. So it's kind of silly in mass. Like some guy in front of me was buying like 20 packs of gummies so he could, anyway. So people are going to figure it out one way or the other. And if we don't, it's just going to feed the black market. And
cool. Do you have any questions for Pepper? I'm gonna interview him soon. I'll take those questions right.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw the news this morning, and I saw them talking about delaying retail, and just to really, really think hard about that. And I really hope that the legislature and the state can give the control board the help that they need. It's something that I've publicly commented on. I've stressed to them, and I've wrote letters to the people that matter, because I truly think, like, if they can't have the capacity to operate, we're all screwed. So they need the support to do their job. So I fully advocate them getting that help and hopefully being able to stay on this timeline. But really, some of us have had to give up our black market and our gray markets because we're in the spotlight and are really doing this right. And the longer we wait, the more it hurts. It really fucking hurts me, and it hurts everybody that walks in this door every day. And I've even had control board members in here when people have come in. 3 people have come in like 10 minutes while one of them was in here one day and asked for THC. And whoa, it's what people want. So anyway, I just hope that he can find the support that they need to keep on their timeline and get this baby done and give the people what they want.
Beautiful. That seems like a great place to wrap right there. Meredith, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck with your business ventures here.
Thanks, Caleb.
We'll follow up. Yeah, we'll follow up again down the road.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Take care of yourself.
You too. Thanks.
All right.